So after 15 years of helping women to literally transform the way they look, feel and move, I'm going to share with you in this video 25 brutal truths that I have learnt from a coaching point of view, but also personally as well, going through my own weight loss transformation as well. And these things work incredibly well. I've broken down to 25 lessons, and they're based upon real life results I've got working with clients. For example, like the lady you can see on screen right now, Gaynor, who was able to lose 85 pounds. She was a business owner. Not only was she a business owner, she was getting her business ready for sale, so she was incredibly busy. Also had 2 ill parents, one critically ill in hospital. She was visiting them several times per week, and she had a daughter getting ready to be married. So, you know, a lot on her plate, let's just say that much. Or we've got Sue, a business owner who had never really achieved any significant weight loss, had been struggling literally for decades. Not only did she go on to lose 50 or 5 stone 1 pound, a year later she was interviewed for a second time on BBC Radio for keeping that weight off. And then we've got Marie, who came to me after making a phone call to me from a hospital car park where she was contemplating a surgical procedure. That's the point she'd got to. She had back pain, she had knee pain, she got herself injured doing a variety of exercises, trying to achieve weight loss, and she was working as a full-time pastoral care officer. So these are the sort of women that I've worked with over the last 15 years. These are what these 25 truths are based upon. I've broken down into lessons, so let's dive into what they are right now. Starting off with lesson number 1, which is you've got to be honest with yourself. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you've got to be honest with how you are eating, how you are thinking, how you're moving. Only you know what your thoughts are in your head. And if you're continually beating yourself up over your appearance and how you look and what you're not doing, that is something you need to become aware of. That's something you need to start to challenge, because unless you start to challenge your own negative thinking, nothing's going to happen. In terms of your eating, only you know when you're reaching into that cookie jar, when you're having that extra bag of crisps, when you're having that extra glass of wine. Only you know you're doing it 9 times out of 10. You're doing it secretly quite often. And then, of course, exercise. Are you moving your body as regularly as you could be? Now, why is it important to be honest with yourself from the get-go? It's important because until you're honest with yourself, we don't know where we're starting. Once we know where we're starting from, then we can put a plan in place. So that's lesson number 1. You've got to be honest with yourself. Lesson number 2 is make a decision. And what do I mean by make a decision? Well, I'm not talking about you saying, right, that's it, I'm going to be perfect from here inwards going forwards. No, because nobody is. I'm talking about making the sort of decision where you've made the decision and you're going well for maybe a couple of days, couple of weeks, and then something happens and it derails you. Well, okay, and it's going to happen. But you're prepared to say, you know what, I made the decision to lose the weight, get fit and create a healthier lifestyle. This is a minor blip along the journey. Just in the same way, if you were setting off to go to a particular location and there was a traffic jam, or there was a roadworks, and sat-nav gave you a detour, you take an alternative route. You wouldn't just give up and go back home. Well, this is exactly the same. It's not about being perfect. It's about having the ability to actually pick yourself up, dust yourself down and go again, because you've made that decision to succeed. And that's what all the women you've just seen had to do throughout their weight loss journeys. You know, there were times when things didn't quite work out the way they wanted them to, but they had to pick themselves up, dust themselves down and go again. So that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, calorie deficit rules all. It really doesn't matter what diet you're on, whether it's Atkins, ketogenic, intermittent fasting, they all have one thing in common when they work effectively, and that's this. They put you into a calorie deficit. There's no easier way of saying that. And if you're not in calorie deficit consistently, then you're not going to lose any weight. And it's no good being in calorie deficit Monday through to Friday and then dropping the ball over the weekend, because come the following Monday, guess what? You're either going to be the same, you're going to be heavier, or you wouldn't have lost the amount of weight you thought you were going to lose. So you have to be in consistent calorie deficit. Now, am I saying you're never going to drop the ball? Of course I'm not. But you have to be realistic. When the weight doesn't come off, 9 times out of 10, it's down to the fact you haven't been consistent with your calorie intake. Yes, there are some factors like, for example, bowel movement, certain hormonal changes, underactive thyroid. All those things can play a part in how effectively you lose weight. But assuming you've got all those things sorted out, over the course of 7 days, you should see a steady decrease in your weight. So that's lesson number 3. Lesson number 4, protein is your friend. Now, you've probably heard people say protein is important. Well, why is it important? Well, for these few reasons. Number 1, most people that go on a diet, they just cut out calories indiscriminately, and one of the big calories one of the big macronutrients they cut out of their diet is protein. So there's proteins, fats and carbs, and protein is one that tends to get hammered a lot. It gets cut out. Problem with that is when you cut out protein, and if you're just losing weight through calorie restriction, you're going to lose lean body mass, and you lose significantly more lean body mass if you cut down on protein. So keeping protein in your diet means you lose less lean body tissue. It keeps you feeling more satiated, which is important, and because you're maintaining lean body tissue, it means you're going to reduce the risk of things like osteoporosis, because you've got muscles that can actually move your body around and get some impact through your joints. So protein is your friend. And in terms of how much protein you should be looking to eat, you should be aiming for approximately 1 gram of protein per gram of your total body weight in pounds. So if you want to be 140 pounds, let's say 10 stone, you should be consuming around about 140 grams of protein a day. Lesson number 5, no magic diet. Look, I already spoke about dieting a second ago. The only diet that's going to work and is effective is the diet you can stick to. And if that diet means you have to include a glass of wine, a bit of chocolate, a bag of crisps, whatever it might be, but it keeps you on track and it keeps the weight coming down, that is your magic diet. Outside of that, there isn't a magic diet. Number 6, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. And believe you me, I have tried myself personally. You simply can't do it. Think about it this way. For a 30-minute walk, walking at approximately 3 miles per hour, you'd be lucky to burn off 100, 150 calories at best. Well, you can eat 100, 150 calories in like a few seconds. You can drink that with a glass and a half of wine. So you simply can't do enough exercise to outrun a bad diet. Please don't try it. It's a painful path to take, and believe you me, I've tried it myself and failed miserably. I really have. Number 7, consistency is king. It's not about being super motivated, it's about being consistent. If you can take consistent daily actions over a period of time, you're going to get some great results. Think of it this way: small hinges open big doors. Small consistent actions will get you to where you want to get to. It's all good and well having these amazing days where you exercise really well, you eat really well, you sleep really well, you do all the right things. It's like a 10 out of 10 day. But the reality is those sorts of days are few and far between. I would rather you have 6 out of 10 days where you eat reasonably well, you exercise okay, and you stay relatively positive in your mindset. If you can do that and achieve a 6 out of 10 consistently, that's way more effective, way more sustainable, way more doable than trying to be a 10 out of 10. So think about consistency being down to taking small, doable, achievable steps, not trying to be perfect. You'll fail, believe you me. Number 8, motivation won't save you. Why won't it save you? Because if you are relying upon being highly motivated all the time, you're going to burn out mentally. Motivation is a little bit like willpower. It's a little bit like being angry. Think about the last time you were really angry with somebody. How long could you hold that anger for at the peak level? Now, you may be saying to me, oh, well, Eric, I held it for like months. I'm still angry now and it happened 10 years ago. I'm talking about at the peak of the anger. It's only sustainable for maybe minutes, maximum an hour before it drops off a little bit. Why? Because it's emotionally draining, and trying to stay motivated at a high level all the time, you are going to be drained. When I work with clients, I will typically say on a day-to-day basis, the things that you are required to do to become successful at creating a healthier lifestyle to bring about weight loss and long-term maintenance shouldn't take much more than a 3 to a 5 out of 10 to achieve. What do I mean by that? So instead of me saying to you, right, you've got to walk 10,000 steps today, that might require huge amount of motivation in your head. You might do it Monday to Friday and then you crash and burn on a weekend. But if I were to say to you, Tell you what, why don't we aim to walk a couple of thousand steps a day? All of a sudden that's gone from being a 10 out of 10 in terms of motivation down to maybe a 3, 4 out of 10, because 1,000, 2,000 step walk, it might be just around your block 1.5 times or once and back into the house. That might seem way more doable for you. It doesn't require as much motivation. So please, please, please do not set yourself tasks that are going to require you to be highly motivated, because you simply will not be able to sustain that level of motivation. Number 9, set realistic expectations. So sometimes, depending on your personality type, you might think, right, I expect to get up at 5:30 in the morning, I expect to go for a 60-minute walk, I expect to eat a healthy breakfast, I expect to get to work, to have a perfect morning, I expect to have a great lunch, I expect to get home on time, have a healthy meal, I expect to get bed on time, I expect to have 7 to 8 hours sleep. That's probably not going to happen. It might happen once every now and then. Set your expectations, but allow for things to change. So you've got your expectations, but understand things can change. So have a bandwidth of expectations. Maybe you're aiming for a 30-minute walk, but you'd be happy with a 10-minute walk. So have an expectation range, so that if the thing that you expected to happen doesn't quite happen at that level, you don't feel all dejected and deflated and like you want to give up. So have a sensible expectation range. Make it a realistic range as well. Number 10, push your limits. What do I mean by push your limits? Look, in order for you to move from where you are right now to where you want to get to, you're going to have to get a bit uncomfortable. Now, I'm not talking about excruciatingly uncomfortable, because you won't keep that up. But let's just say, for example, let's use walking again as an example. If you are currently walking 1,000 steps a day, okay, let's aim for 1,500 steps a day. That's slightly outside of your comfort zone, and that's what you've got to be doing. And after a period of time, 1,500 steps becomes, yeah, that's within my comfort zone now. And then you push it again. But you've got to be prepared to push yourself. It's the same with your nutrition. If you are currently consuming well over 500 calories a day from what's required for you to start losing weight, maybe say, okay, I'm going to reduce it by 250. That's uncomfortable, but it's getting you closer to where you need to be in order to be able to see your weight come down. So be prepared and expect to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Every client I've ever worked with has had to push themselves slightly outside the comfort zone. The key is not to go too far outside your comfort zone, because if you go too far outside, mentally we'll want to run back to safety. If you just go a little bit outside of it and you get comfortable, then you're prepared to stay there for a while, then you move on again. So that's lesson number 11. Push your limits. Number 12, get some external accountability. It's so easy to get inside our own heads and try and work things out. Look, you're in the situation you're in now because of the thinking that you currently have. And if you run into problems, the chances are you don't have the equipment in your head in terms of how to think about it to probably get yourself out of that situation. So external accountability might come in the form of a good friend, you know, a cheerleader, someone that's going to cheer you on and say, you know, come on, you can do this. Not someone that's going to be all evangelical, not someone that's going to criticize and berate you, but someone that is genuinely there to, you know, have your back. That could be a friend. It could be going to a slimming club. It could be working with a professional coach like myself. But the ability to have an external source of accountability, or having that resource there, means that they can take a look at things that maybe you're missing. So many times I'm working with clients, they will overlook small things that they have done that I think are pretty significant, and when I point them out to them, they go, oh yeah, I can see that. And that gives them courage, that gives them confidence, that gives them belief they can succeed. In the same way, if they drop the ball, it's very easy to go within yourself and think, oh, it's all not working now. That's where someone like a coach or a friend or a slimming club, they may just remind you of how far you've come on your journey so far. The times I've had clients who have lost like 40 odd pounds, and then one week they maybe gain a couple of pounds, and all of a sudden the 40 pounds is forgotten about, but the 2 pounds becomes the big deal. And it's just a case of reminding somebody of what success they've had, whether it's in terms of weight loss, whether it's in terms of they're wearing smaller clothes, or whether it's in terms of they've got more energy. But having that external accountability will allow for that sort of feedback when you forget how successful you've been. Number 12, lifting weights. This is something that a lot of women, even still today, avoid doing. Why? because they think they're going to become big and muscular. And the truth of the matter is, you simply do not have enough testosterone to become big and muscular. And if this is one of your fears, comment below if you are fearful of using weights because you think you're going to become big and muscular. You won't. The benefits of weight training are, there are a lot of them. Let me just rattle off a few of them. Number one, it's going to help to boost your metabolism, which means you're going to be burning more calories at rest. Not a huge amount more, but you're going to be burning more calories at rest. Why not have that benefit in your, working for you? Number two, it's going to help with reduction of the risk of osteoporosis, so weakening of the bones. Number three, it's going to help you with your posture. It's going to keep your posture upright. Number four, it's going to protect your joints. As we age, as we lose musculature, our joints are more susceptible to getting injured. Why? Because we haven't got the muscle tissue around our joints to protect them and have them move in the correct planes. And number five, you're just going to be stronger. And the amount of women that have said to me, having this new strength, it's a bit like having a superpower. They can lift things for themselves. They can move things. They don't have to ask their partner, who may be significantly stronger than them, to do something. They can do it themselves. So lifting weights is a key part of not just helping you to lose weight, but actually helping you to maintain it long term, and all the other health benefits as well. And I recommend that you should be aiming for, as an absolute newbie beginner, 2 to 3 times a week. Once you're into it, 3 to 4 times a week is perfectly fine to be doing. Number 13, walk more. Now, I'm not talking about get out there and aim for 10,000 steps, because for most people, 10,000 steps a day is not that practical. In a one hit, that will take you maybe an hour and a half to walk that sort of distance. I'm talking about park your car, literally a little bit further away from where you work. I'm talking about using the escalator where it's available. I'm talking about maybe getting up from your office desk and getting out and going for a 5-10 minute walk, and then coming back down and sitting down and continuing with your work. That's going to help you anyway. I'm talking about maybe going for a 10-minute walk after you've eaten a meal, be that lunch, be that evening meal. Just try and get some more walking in. Just make it part of your lifestyle rather than thinking, I've got to hit 10,000 steps. Try and make it an integral part of your lifestyle, because when you do it that way, you're more likely to stick with it because it's part of your lifestyle. Number 14, plan your food. Planning your food is going to help you to reduce decision-making fatigue. If you're having to wake up every single day and think about, what am I going to eat today? After a period of time, you are going to get decision-making fatigue about what to eat, especially if you are cooking for the family as well. You're now thinking, what's the family going to eat? What am I going to eat to be able to lose weight? Have I got to change the meal plans to suit everybody? Plan your food ahead of time. Once it's planned, that will give you some additional bandwidth in your brain to think about more important things rather than just thinking about food. So avoid that decision-making fatigue by planning your food out. Prep ahead. Prep your food ahead of time. That's going to save you a massive amount of time. Why do you think ready meals are so popular now? It's because you can just literally get them out of the freezer, stick them in the microwave, ding, within 8 minutes, boom, you've got a meal. And I've used them myself, I really have. We have a fridge in our garage that's packed out with, well, not always packed out, but we try and keep it packed out with meals we've cooked ourselves from scratch, and we also have some gym meals in there as well. So we have a combination, probably 70-30, 70% our own, 30% gym meals, because we're not always on it, we're not perfect, but we have those stored away. That will save time. Also think about prepping your exercise equipment, whatever that might be. If you're working out from home, have your gym gear set up at the end of the bed or in a spare bedroom, have the weights out, have it all ready to go so you haven't got to think about it. Also think about prepping for your week. What does your week look like coming up? What things can you prep ahead of time so when they come up, it's not the first time you're having to deal with them. You've already thought forwards about how you're going to get over certain things. So a bit of forward planning, a bit of prep can help you. Number 16, rotate your meal options. What do I mean by this? Well, typically breakfasts tend to be the same for most people, if we're honest. I tend to have the same sort of breakfast, generally speaking. Lunches, I would say, have an option between maybe 2 or 3 meals for lunch, and then evening meal, maybe 3 to 5 different options. And that rotation will keep things fresh, it will stop from becoming boring, and it will also just allow you not to have that one meal and go, oh, sorry, I don't want that meal today. I'm just going to go totally off piste and just have, some crazy meal that's like laden with calories. So having that ability to have meal options will give you the ability to stay on track more likely than just having that one option that you've got to stick to all the time and you're just crashing and burning. So do rotate your meal options. Number 17, prioritize your sleep. It goes without saying, if you've had a poor night's sleep, your decision-making ability the next day is severely impaired. You're going to make poor decisions in terms of your eating. If you haven't done the steps I've mentioned, you'll end up eating crap. In terms of your exercise, you probably won't do it. Why? Because you're just too knackered to do it. And then in terms of sort of eating healthy and planning for the next day, you probably won't do that either, because all you want to do is just get to bed. So you need to prioritize your sleep. That is going to help. I mean, I would say arguably this is one of the most important ones, because everything is downstream from a good night's sleep. Without it, everything falls apart. So look at your sleeping habits. What sorts of things can you do to improve your sleep? Does it mean maybe getting away from your TV or your mobile device an hour and a half before you go to bed? Does it mean doing a quick journal of all things you need to do for the next day, so you don't go to bed with it on your mind thinking, crumbs, I've got to think about all this stuff? You write it down. Does it mean getting your room temperature down to a certain level so it's cool enough for you to be able to sleep in there and not be tossing and turning at night? Look at your sleep. If you're not getting that 7 to 8 hours in, then what steps can you take? And in actual fact, on this channel there is a video I've done, an interview with a lady called Anandi Francis, where I interviewed her and she shared some really top tips on sleeping and how to improve your sleep. Her name's Anandi Francis. She's an international sleep specialist, and you'll find her on this channel. Okay, number 18, alcohol slows fat loss. I'm not going to dwell on this for too long, because if you're near and dear to alcohol, all I'm going to say to you is this: if you continue drinking alcohol, understand it will slow the weight loss process down. So a pound could have been 2 pounds, it's now just a pound because of the alcohol. 2 pounds becomes 0 pounds because of the alcohol. It just basically slows the whole thing down. Am I saying you can't lose weight if you drink alcohol? Yes, you can. I've had clients who have lost weight who have continued to drink alcohol, but they've accepted the fact it will slow the process down a little bit. Some people more than others, so just accept that. What I would say is, if you can maybe abstain from alcohol for a period of time just to get some momentum going and get some significant weight loss, and and then think about maybe introducing the alcohol, that might slow your weight loss down, but you're still having weight loss, that might be a consideration for you. But just understand it will slow things down, and if you've got slow weight loss in the beginning, that may act as a bit of a demotivator for you, so it's something you need to consider. Number 19, track your progress. Track it in terms of just a simple journal. It can be daily if you want, it can be weekly. Do before and after photographs. I think that's good. Maybe week by week, or maybe every few weeks you do a picture before, a picture after. That can be done in your birthday suit, it can be done in swimwear, it can be done in a particular item of clothing, your choice. But I think it's good to track your progress and also keep a bit of a journal of what you found easy, what you found challenging, what challenges you've overcome, because when you do it that way, you can look back over your past successes and how you overcame certain things, so that when you do get to your ideal weight range, if you start to gain a little bit of weight, you've already got a blueprint for success as to how you did it before. So keeping and tracking your progress is really important. Number 20, visualize and feel your success. There's actually 3 parts to this when I teach clients, and it's to visualize where you want to be, it's to speak it in your mind's eye, in your head, but also to feel what it would be like to be that person. What you're trying to do basically here is change your identity, and it's something that is rarely spoken about in the world of weight loss. People talk about calories, they talk about doing the ideal exercise routine and how many reps, how many sets, how often per week, etc., etc. And I speak about those things as well. But changing your identity, that is what we're trying to do, because once you change your identity and you identify as a different sort of individual in terms of your health and well-being, you will naturally gravitate towards those habits that support that new identity. It's just the way it is. Think about your favorite actor. I mean, let's just take, for example, let's take Tom Cruise, for example, when he's in Mission Impossible. He's playing this super agent spy, so he adopts those roles, those habits, he does those things that are in accordance with that superhero. Then I think he was in a film called Tropical Thunder, where he dressed up, he had a baldy head, big stomach and he was sort of like a crazy guy, and he had a different persona, different character, and he did different things that were in accordance with that identity. So think about people that you know as actors who have assumed different roles, identities, what they've done. We're looking to do the same things ourselves with our own health and well-being. If I look at myself, for example, I identify myself as being healthy and fit, always have been. Do I always stick to it? Of course I don't. There are times I slip, there are times I've had to lose weight myself, but fundamentally I see myself as a fit and healthy person. Therefore, when I start doing fit and healthy things, it's easier for me to do that. Not easy, but easier for me to do it because I identify as that sort of individual. And you're looking to do something very similar. So visualize it, feel your success, and say it as well. Number 21, spot reduction is a myth. I remember chatting to one of my clients. She came into the studio and she said to me, Eric, my son said to me, Mama, how have you got such a flat stomach? She'd been working with me for about 4 to 6 months, mid-50s, and she got a really flat stomach, looked really good. And she said, Eric, I said to my son, you know, he was asking what sit-ups was she doing. She said, well, I couldn't think about what sit-ups we were doing. And the reality was, we weren't doing many sit-ups. We worked her whole body. Doing thousands of sit-ups a week is not going to give you a flat stomach. What's going to give you a flatter stomach is get your head right, get your diet right, and do a full body exercise routine that's working your arms, your legs, your back, your shoulders, your core. You're working everything, not just trying to target your stomach only. That's lesson number 21. Number 22, expect weight fluctuations. What do I mean by this? Well, let's say your goal is to get down to 10 stone. Fantastic. When you get to 10 stone, I can guarantee you're not going to stay at 10 stone. You are going to go up. So what I do with my clients is, let's say they're starting at 15 stone. As they're coming down, as they get to say 11 stone maybe, I might say, okay, what's it like at 11 stone? How do you feel about that? And 9 times out of 10, they're like, you know what? I feel pretty good at 11 stone. Okay, great. If you were to stay here all the time compared to where you are or where you were at 15 stone, how would that be? They'd be like, well, okay, that'd be okay. It wouldn't be the end of the world. That's still 4 stone lighter than what I was. Okay, great. We make that the upper limit. Why is this important to understand? Because if you think you're going to get to 10 stone and stay there, the second you gain a pound or two, you are going to think, oh no, the weight's piling back on again. And once you get into that mindset of thinking, oh no, the weight's piling back on again, you're going to go into panic mode. And when you go into panic mode, you start to stress. When you stress, you start to make poor decisions. When you start to make poor decisions and panic, you forget about all the good work you've done. You start going to old habits, and before you know it, you're in a bit of a tailspin and you're on your way back up to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and even more. So understand before you start on the journey, when you get down to your lightest weight, you are going to gain some weight back. Again, it's something that people don't like to talk about. They like to say lose the weight and lose it forever. I wouldn't make that claim. I would simply say lose the weight you want to lose, but understand you're going to gain some back. Then let's learn how we can control it and maintain it and manage it and have a lifestyle that lives within the parameters of that new weight range. Number 23, let's get there. Your partner might sabotage you. Look, it doesn't always happen, but your partners can be your biggest cheerleaders. They really can, and they should be. But they can also be your biggest saboteurs as well. Especially if they don't need to lose any weight, especially if they've got a sweet tooth, and every now and then they like to have a treat, and they like to include you in it, or they're having the treat and you're sat there looking at them thinking, oh, I could do with some of that. So just be mindful. Your saboteur could be one of your biggest, your partner could be one of your biggest saboteurs. And I always recommend to my clients, if they suspect that from the get-go, have a word with them, have an honest conversation with your partner and say, look, this is what I want to do. I'd like your support, and just have that conversation with them so that everybody's on the same page from the get-go. But it can happen. Number 24, keep it to yourself. In the past, I've called this one of my greatest secrets ever for weight loss. Why do I say keep it to yourself? I say that because the second the cat's out the bag with weight loss, everybody becomes a bloody expert. What to eat, how to exercise, what weight you should be. They just know everything about weight loss. Why you shouldn't be doing certain things, what worked for them, why you should be doing what they do. Don't lose any more weight. You shouldn't be losing any weight. You're fine the way you are. Everyone's got an opinion, and it can just fry your brain. So my recommendation to my clients is only tell the person that you really need to tell. Outside of that, it's nobody else's business. As the weight starts coming off and people see it coming off, let them comment and just simply say something like, yeah, I'm just eating a bit healthier. Move the conversation on. Don't get into a conversation with people about your weight loss. Once you've shifted all the weight you want to shift, by all means, you want to speak about it, go ahead. But keeping it to yourself to begin with will give you so much freedom mentally you would not believe. You'll be able to go out to social events, and if you decide you're going to go off piste and not stick to your eating plan and have an extra glass of wine or a piece of cake, whatever it might be, and nobody knows you are trying to lose weight, nobody can be there saying, I thought you were trying to lose weight. You haven't got that pressure on you. So keep it to yourself, keep your power. It will help you immensely. Look, losing weight is challenging enough as it is. You don't need additional external challenges being placed upon you. And number 25 is no one notices at first. If you've got 50 pounds to lose and you lose your first 10, no one's going to notice. And you may notice a little bit, but nobody else is going to notice. And that can feel a bit demotivating. Don't worry about it. When you lose 30 pounds, I'm telling you now, people will begin to turn an eye and sort of notice a little bit more. And when you hit the 50, people may not even recognize you. Sue, the lady I mentioned earlier, I went to a social event with her. We were setting up. This lady walked in, a long time friend of hers, walked straight past her. And Sue was like, hey, I forget her name now, whatever it was. Let's say it was Maggie. This lady looked back and looked at Sue like, who are you? Literally did not recognize Sue, having Sue had lost 71 pounds, didn't recognize her. So it will happen. But to be honest with you, it's not about other people recognizing your success. It's about you achieving the success for yourself. So there's 25 lessons. If you want to get some help in working through these 25 lessons and actually getting your own plan together, find the link below this video. Let's have a conversation. Let's speak about where you are right now. Let's speak about what you've tried in the past, what you want to achieve in the future, and let's see whether or not what I do, how I work, my coaching program, whether or not it would be a fit, whether or not we could actually work together. But we won't know that until you've booked a call with me. So, go ahead, click the link below, take you to a page, read a bit about the program, and if it seems like it could be something that you'd be interested in, book yourself in for a call.